Welcome back, dear viewers. In the aftermath of deceit and revenge, join us as we unravel the consequences and witness the ultimate resolution in the second part of this compelling tale. Let's dive back into the story. Every day we got one another worked up. Stela had never been spanked. She'd never been tied up. She'd never even owned sex toys. She desperately craved sex that wasn't mundane, and I promised it to her. I expected photos of her daily. Sometimes they were clothed. Often she took them to the gym in the locker room. I'd have her strip for the camera and show me her tits or ass. I told her how much I enjoyed jacking off with her panties. That excited her and made her want to reveal more. I expect you to dress up to meet me, I told her. You'll undress while I watch. You'll have on sexy underwear that nobody has ever seen you in. And you'll bring something silky to lounge around the room in after we fuck. Stela didn't push back. She sent me pictures of outfits she might wear. At first, she tried to show me the clothes on a hanger, but I told her that wouldn't work, so she started trying them on and sending me full-length photos. I told her to wear her dark hair up and off her long, sexy neck. For a woman without much experience, she wasn't shy when she arrived. She was obviously nervous. But she didn't hesitate when I opened the door to our suite. The room was lit with only a lamp. It was dark enough to be sexy, but light enough for me to see. I sat on the foot of the bed and instructed her to stand a few feet in front of me. I unbuttoned my shirt. Stela's nerves started to show a bit. She shifted her weight from foot to foot and held her bag nervously. I told her to put it down. She was wearing a tight black skirt that hugged her ass. The woman spent at least 15 hours a week with a personal trainer and played tennis daily. Her body was amazing. Her blouse was blue, collarless, and silk. It dipped between her small, firm tits. Twirl around slowly, I told her. She spun around so I could admire her body. Take off your skirt. Stela unzipped her skirt at the hip. She had to wiggle her tiny ass to slide it off. She let it drop around her black heels and stepped out of it. She wore lacy black panties and a matching garter belt with lace-top stockings. Now open your blouse, I told her. Take your time. Stela flashed me a smile. She slowly unbuttoned her blouse. She wore a black lace bra with a front clasp beneath it. Get on your knees, I told her. She obeyed. I stood up and unfastened my belt. I took my time removing my shoes, socks, slacks, and underwear. My cock was semi-hard. She watched from her knees. Touch your pussy, I said. She rubbed herself over her panties. Inside your panties, I commanded. I want you worked up. I want you to make me hard. It was obvious she'd never been in a similar situation. She put her hand in her panties. She moaned softly. She closed her eyes and moaned louder. I want to hear you, I said. Convince me you need my cock. She started moaning my name and begging. She fingered her pussy. I walked to the closet and came back with a riding crop. Her eyes were still closed. She was completely surprised when it stung her ass. Don't fake it, Stela, I said. I want you to really need me. She was more frantic. Her fingers fucked herself eagerly. I told her to open her eyes and look at me while she did it. She locked her pretty brown eyes on mine. Take my cock, Stela. Make it hard. She trailed her wet fingers down my shaft and stroked me. It didn't take much. Open your mouth, I said. I want you to blow me on your knees in your $300 silk blouse and expensive lingerie. It's a $400 blouse, she said. I flicked the riding crop across her ass again. She yelped. Her mouth dropped open. I took her pretty face in my hand and guided my cock between her lips. Stela knew how to suck a dick. I wondered if her cuckold husband could even appreciate it. She blew me like a porn starlet. She kept her eyes locked on mine and took every inch of my cock. I held the back of her head and fucked her beautiful face. She popped the clasp on her bra, so I could see her small breasts and huge brown nipples. At the last second, I pulled out and put my load on her tits. "Did you bring something silky to wear?" I asked her. "Yes. I brought a baby doll nightie." "Go change," I told her. "Keep your stockings and garters on." Stela came back out in a tiny black satin gown with spaghetti straps. She came over to kiss me. I returned the kiss. Already, I was getting hard again. "I'm going to tie you to the bed," I told her. I held up soft restraints that I put on the bedside table before she arrived. She got in the center of the bed and raised her arms. I strapped her to the headboard. I spread her legs and flipped the nightie up. I buried my face between her legs and teased her pussy. I took my time. I worked her clit and licked her slit from bottom to top. I fucked her with my fingers and brought her right to the edge before backing down. I took her to the edge a second time and stopped before she could come. "Do you need my cock yet?" "Yes," she whimpered. I fingered her some more. I teased her clitoris with my tongue. I brought her right to the edge for a third time. I started to go bareback, but she panicked. "You didn't mention this as one of your rules," I stated. "I didn't talk it over with him," she said. "I just assumed. It wasn't the time for a discussion." I grabbed a rubber and put it on. She came almost immediately after I slid my cock in. She'd been edged too many times. Her entire body shook. Her orgasm didn't slow me down. Stela could barely move with her hands bound. I fucked her like I owned her. She was loud. I loved every minute of it. I pounded away between her thighs with deep thrusts. I worked her back into a frenzy. I massaged her chest with my thumb. She came for a second time and squeezed my cock with her pussy muscles. I arrived with her wrapped around my sheet cock. I untied her and we stayed in bed together. We talked and touched and kissed. She was obviously very pleased. She told me she didn't want things to get emotional, but it was obvious she felt something more than just pleasure. She was smitten with me. I encouraged her flirting. I kissed her neck and lips. I touched her slender body. I fingered her pussy until she asked me to fuck her again. I didn't make her bag. "I want to feel you on my bare cock," I told her. "You can do whatever you want to me," she said. I fucked her nicely and slowly in the missionary position. Our eyes were locked on one another. We kissed like old lovers. She came with me inside her pussy. Then I rolled her over and fucked her from behind. Her beautiful, fit body moved in rhythm with mine. I took the riding crop and slapped each of her ass cheeks. Stela yelped with delight and fucked me faster. I spanked her in rhythm with each thrust. "How many men have come inside you?" I asked. "Just one," she said. "Fill me up." I grunted. My cock spasmed and I creamed inside her. It would have been fun to send her home with my cum in her pussy, but we weren't through. We showered together and fucked some more. We actually did have a nap for a little while, then I fucked her again in the morning. I filled her with cum both times. She'd never been with a man who would even fuck her twice. I'd fucked her 4 times. I sent her home at 6 in the morning to check in with her husband and take their kids to school. And that was our first night together. She'd promised me 2. I was certain there was going to be more. In the hushed silence of the night, Stela wrestled with the choices she had made. Little did she know, these clandestine affairs would unravel a tapestry of emotions, leading her down a path where the boundaries of love, desire, and self-discovery blurred into uncharted territories. As the moon dipped below the horizon, a new chapter awaited, and Stela could only wonder what dawn would reveal.